Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Johns Hopkins School of Education Application Q&A virtual webinar. Before we get started, I would like to share some friendly reminders. First, today's webinar is being recorded. We will be able to share a link with you after the event is complete. Also, please take a second to see if your mic is on mute and your video is turned off right now. Please have your mic on mute and your video turned off at all times during the presentation. Lastly, please make sure you signed in with your first and last name because we are taking attendance today. For today's presentation outcomes, we hope that you walk away with a better understanding of the application requirements for the Doctor of Education and Doctor of Philosophy program. Second, we hope that you gain useful tips and best practices on how to submit a strong application. Please note that today's presentation will solely cover the application requirements and admissions process for the EdD and PhD program. If you have any questions relating to program for the EdD and PhD, we ask that you save those questions and email the academic coordinators. Their contact information will be shown at the end of this presentation.
Our agenda for today's application Q&A webinar is as follows. You will meet your presenters. We will thoroughly review preparation and best practices for the application process. Additionally, we will provide you with a detailed overview of the application requirements and deadlines. Your presenters for today's webinar will be myself, Tanya McMillan. I am the admissions coordinator for the Doctor of Education and the Doctor of Philosophy programs.
And my name is Sion John. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions at Johns Hopkins School of Education.
Preparing to apply for our doctoral programs. It's extremely helpful to create a timeline and a checklist. This is important to give yourself ample time to comprise your essays and personal statements, as well as update your resume. Also, share your application timeline with your recommenders so they too will have enough time to comprise their recommendations on your behalf. Also, in advance of applying, it is very helpful to attend one of our previously recorded webinar sessions or also an admissions event.
So here on this slide, we have the major application requirements for the EdD program. Please keep in mind, we will provide details for each requirement later in the presentation. Also, our application requirements are listed on our school's website on the admissions deadlines and requirements webpage. So to start, for the EdD program, the online application form must be submitted and there is an $80 application fee. Resume CV must be uploaded. Personal statement, 3 letters of recommendation. The GRE admissions test is optional. Official transcripts from all institutions that you have attended. And there is also a virtual interview that is required. Moving on to the Doctor of Philosophy program, the PhD program for application requirements. The online application form, and also the $80 application fee, resume CV, personal statement, 3 letters of recommendation, GRE admissions test, official transcripts from all institutions that you have attended, an interview may be required.
Resume and CV. Be certain that your resume is concise and in an easy to follow format. Also, make certain to highlight any significant professional and academic accomplishments. Closely proofread your resume to ensure it is free of grammatic and formatting errors. Personal statements. We've indicated here general best practices for both the EdD and PhD programs. When comprising your personal statements, clearly define your reason and purpose for pursuing this particular program of study. Review the questions and guidelines when composing your statement. Also, be certain to write in a straightforward manner that distinctly communicates your experience. Also, it's important to limit the length to 2 pages or less with a maximum of 750 words. Now, for a moment, I'd like to specifically address each of the programs regarding their personal statements. For the Doctor of Education program, candidates' personal statements should include the description of the problem of practice, which is relevant to your context of professional practice. The statement should also indicate the importance of the problem of practice within the educational landscape, as well as the context of your professional practice. Also, EdD candidates should discuss the ways in which the problem of practice will align with their chosen area of specialization. For the Doctor of Philosophy program, candidates' personal statements should discuss how participating in the PhD program will advance their career. Also, be prepared to discuss and address what experiences you may have had that relate to school improvement. Your statement should also indicate what you hope to learn as a result of being a student in the PhD program.
Here are some tips and guidance when submitting your letters of recommendation. First, your recommenders should be able to speak on behalf of your academic and professional experience. We do understand that some of our applicants have been out of school for a while and you might not have an academic reference. If that is the case, we do accept professional references. When considering who to ask to write your letters of recommendation, consider faculty members, administrators, and supervisors. In the past, many of our applicants have given at least 2 to 3 weeks notice when asking someone to be their recommender. Please make sure to follow up with your recommenders so that you successfully submit your application on time. Always feel free to reach out to SOE Admissions if you want to double check and see if we've received your letters of recommendation. For those applying to the EdD program, please note that one of your recommenders must be your executive sponsor. An executive sponsor is someone who can attest to your qualifications to pursue a doctorate degree, knowledge, and support for your area of research as a problem of practice. Your executive sponsor should also understand that you will be doing research and gathering data within your professional context. Official transcripts. We accept official transcripts electronically or by mail. Please note that we do not accept unofficial transcripts. Unofficial transcripts typically do not have a college seal or registrar's signature. We need all official transcripts, including institutions you may have taken courses but did not receive a degree. Again, this is from all post-secondary institutions that you have attended. This is a really popular question we get. Do I need to provide a separate transcript for a study abroad course? The answer is no, as long as the study abroad credits are listed on your official transcript from your home educational institution.
For applicants who have earned their degrees or taken credits, from non-US institutions must have their academic records evaluated by an independent credential evaluating agency. We encourage you to contact these agencies directly for additional information. Here, you will see two credential evaluation services that are commonly used by our applicants. They are World Education Services and Educational Credential Evaluators. Application deadlines. The application deadline for the Doctor of Education program is January 30th, 2020. The application deadline for the Doctor of Philosophy program is January 31st, 2020. Please note that all supporting materials and documents must be completed and submitted by these application deadline dates.
Moving on to how you will be notified of your admission decision. As stated on this slide, all applicants will be notified of their admission decision via email. This is the email that you use to submit your application. The notification will share instructions on how to view your admission decision online. As I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, any program-related questions, please refer them to the appropriate academic coordinators. Below is their contact information. Please reach out to Kathy Chow for any questions relating to the EdD program, Camila Mika Sims for the PhD program, and any admissions-related questions, please reach out to Tanya McMillan.
We will now open for questions. Please type your questions in the chat area provided. Thank you for these great questions, everyone. I see a question from Elaine, wondering if there are writing samples needed for the PhD program. Yes, a writing sample is a requirement. It must be professional writing that demonstrates analytic and critical writing skills. And the writing sample is on average 10 to 20 pages. Let's see, a question from Courtney. Currently I work for the U.S. Public Health Service, and I am looking to pursue the EdD in entrepreneurial leadership to support health education and curriculum development. Will pursuing the JHU SOE EdD be appropriate for this career goal? Yes, I do think the program would help in your career goal. As far as specific queries, Courtney, if you're getting in depth with the curriculum and the courses in the program, I encourage you to look on our website at the program of study to see if it aligns with what you're seeking. If you have any questions beyond that, I would encourage you to reach out to our academic program coordinator, Kathy Chow. Okay, I see a question from Vilka. Will there be any brick and mortar days? So there is a 3-day residency that is required. It's a summer residency in late July or early August for the 3 years of the program. Attendance at residency is strongly encouraged. They allow for face-to-face interaction with faculty and other students, as well as time for activities related to the EdD program requirements. For those who cannot attend in person, these residencies will be recorded as information sessions, and they will be required viewing for EdD students.
The next question I see is regards to letter of recommendation from Courtney. How strict is letter of recommendation from a professor? I am an older applicant and I have been an associate professor at a community college and had colleagues who are professors, but personally, I have not been a student or of a professor for quite a while. So Courtney, I will share that we do understand that some of our applicants have been out of school for a while, so we would accept another additional professional reference in place of an academic reference.
Okay, I do see a question from Tracy. I had my transcripts evaluated in the past, but it's through another entity, Joseph Silney and Associates. Will this be sufficient or do I need to have it reevaluated? So those two that we mentioned, Tracy, are just recommended ones. As long as it is a official credential evaluation service, Joseph Silney I know is one. And yes, we will accept evaluation from Joseph Silney.
We have a question from Athena in regards to funding. Just wondering what type of funding options are available for the online EdD program. Is it possible to be fully funded for this, or just the PhD is possibly fully funded? To answer your question, EdD, we do have merit-based questions. They are limited, and typically they are not, unfortunately, this program is not fully funded. You would have to apply for federal financial aid for additional funds for this program. In regards to PhD, there is a stipend that is involved. The stipend, the amount is still up, and again, we'll update everyone. We'll share it on our website as soon as we get more information. But the tuition is definitely fully funded under the PhD program.
Okay, I see we have another question from Dominique. Can you please elaborate on the problem of practice for the EdD program? I'm wondering how broad or narrow to make it, and whether to cite relevant literature in the essay. So that's a great question. We do get a lot of inquiries about the problem of practice. So the problem of practice should really examine an area which is a concern or issue that's been identified by the candidate in their context of professional practice. So this problem of practice becomes the focus of the dissertation research. So you can certainly make citations in your problem of practice as it relates to the application portion for your statement. Keeping in mind, your statement should not exceed 750 words, but you do want to make sure that it does align as well with your specialization.
Our next question we have from Fang is that I am in a dilemma choosing a final topic I want to put into my personal statement because I want to see how I can be supported with certain resource if I can get in. Can I call Kathy Chow to ask her ideas, or Dr. Brian, or those types of questions will not be answered? You're more than welcome to reach out to the academic coordinator, Kathy Chow, to kind of pick her brain and she'll be able to provide guidance, tips for your personal statement.
Another question we have from Megan: is there an opportunity today to speak with current students? If not, is there a way of speaking with some folks? So we have had a current student on a previous webinar that's archived. If you would like to connect with a student, you can certainly email our support box. You can contact me, Tanya McMillan, and I will speak to my colleagues about getting you connected with a current student or someone that's been in the program for you to speak with. Okay, next question from Sophia. Can you explain a bit more about the executive sponsor? It is most important for the person to be familiar with my work over the past few years or my research experience specifically. Great question. So the executive sponsor, of course, has to be one of your 3 recommenders. That's very important. It's someone that should be within either your organization or perhaps professional affiliation group, and that person should be in a position to help identify potential problems of practice and also facilitate access as well to resources and data. That person should also be someone that's a peer or a director or supervisor, for example, in your workplace or within your professional network. Preferably they can hold an advanced degree as well, but they should really be able to contribute substantively to your progress and also be a champion and advocate of your efforts as well.
The next question we have is, are GRE scores heavily weighted in the application evaluation process for the PhD program? Drew, to answer your question, so the faculty committee members will review the PhD applications and they review it holistically. So everything that you submit for the PhD program will be evaluated equally. GRE will definitely be looked at, your scores, amongst other things as well.
Question from Dominique. Can more than 3 letters of recommendation be submitted? So we do ask that you keep it to 3 letters of recommendation for the application process. Again, depending on the program, Dominique, remember that one of your recommendations should identify your executive sponsor. But we do ask for both programs that you keep it to 3 letters of recommendation.
Sia asked, would you mind emailing and sharing the slides, please? Of course, this virtual webinar is currently being recorded and it will be sent 1 week after the event date.
Next question from Langan. Hello, thank you for hosting this webinar. Could you talk a bit about how the financial aid process aligns with the admissions process? Unless that is a question that I should direct elsewhere. Thank you. So yes, Langan, for those financial aid questions, and I'm sorry, I guess this was maybe Courtney Langan, I'm not sure, but those financial aid questions should be directed to financial aid. Their email address is SOE, that stands for School of Education, SOE.finaid, FINAID, at jhu.edu. And they'll be happy to answer any queries that you have about the financial aid process.
The next question is regards to GRE scores again. Are GRE scores heavily weighted in the PhD application evaluation process? Again, the faculty members for the PhD program will review your application holistically. So again, GRE scores will be reviewed amongst other things that are required for the PhD program. The next question we have from Thomas is, will applicants who are not currently employed as an educator still be considered for admission for the EdD program? So our current students in the EdD program and also our alumni come from various backgrounds. Again, we have students coming in from the field of education, in addition to other professional experiences. We highly recommend that you reach out and have a pre-admissions chat with Kathy Chow, the academic coordinator for the EdD program, to make sure that, again, this is a good program for you and it fits also your career goals.
Next question we have is from Filberto. I'm currently living abroad in Lyon, France as an English assistant. I've already earned my master's in secondary education. I would like to know if it's possible to pursue the EdD program online to examine the role that secondary education has on supporting student refugees. I'm currently working at a lycée professional with a high influx of student refugees. So the EdD program, Filberto, is all online with the exception of the residency that's required. You are certainly able to explore any problem projects that you choose once it aligns with the specialization that you're also pursuing as well. I would encourage you to reach out to Kathy Chow if you have specific questions about your problem project that you're considering, the context you're considering. But again, the program is online, so it won't be a problem for you to definitely apply and pursue the program.
The next questions we have is, could both programs be completed online? The EdD is an online program. On the other hand, the PhD is an in-person program.
Next question from Elaine. I have official transcripts from my previous institution in a sealed envelope. Is it appropriate if I just mail it to Johns Hopkins School of Education rather than require my previous institution to mail to you? So if anyone does have a sealed official transcript from a prior institution that has not been opened in any way or altered, you can certainly put that in an outer envelope and address it to our Office of Admissions here at the School of Education, and that will also be deemed an official transcript. The next question, are all EdD online courses completely asynchronous or they're virtual sessions? So the program, Tracy asked that question. The program is actually a 95% asynchronous. There are a few required virtual sessions that are required viewing, that are actually synchronous, but if you're not able to attend the synchronous sessions, they will be recorded for viewing, for required viewing.
The next question we have is regards to, let's see, I am a Gates Millennium Scholar. Is the EdD online program an improved program for funding? I will mention, Filberto, that it's probably best to redirect that question to the Department of, our Financial Aid Department, excuse me, just so you have the most accurate information, whether or not it is approved for funding.
The next question we have, let's see. Does the writing sample for the PhD program need to be in the field of education? So the writing sample, it really should demonstrate an applicant's professional writing and critical writing skills. So it doesn't necessarily have to be solely in the field of education. Of course, if that would be a preference, I'm assuming. I would double check that with the academic coordinator for the program, who was Camilla Mika Sims, but it really has to attest and demonstrate that you have a high level of critical writing skills. Next question from Courtney Wood. Looking at the EdD program of study, I see that in a typical semester, a student is expected to take 2 courses a semester. Are the EdD courses offered one at a time, 2 short 9-week courses, or as 2 courses during a full semester as far as the weeks? I believe they're 12-week courses. That's something we can certainly get back to you with regard to the specific length, because you are taking courses in consecutive terms. So I can certainly get back to you with that information, Courtney.
Please type your questions in the chat box. These are some really great questions. All right, so moving on. So I see 2 questions that are related to more so on the program side. I will highly encourage the 2 questions that were asked to reach out to the academic coordinator to receive the best accurate information, especially for the one where it asks, Athena asks, is the PhD program more domestic education focus, or can one also study international theme education questions? I will pull up the slide with the contact information for the academic program coordinators. We'll give everyone approximately 2 more minutes to ask more questions. If not, we will wrap up.
I see a question from Sophia. Is an excerpt from my master's thesis appropriate to use as my writing sample? If so, which section is best to use? Essential question, literature review analysis. My thesis focuses on the use of museums to develop critical thinking skills. So again, once it aligns with the requirements for the PhD writing sample, Sophia, basically you can take a portion of that if it is on average 10 to 20 pages, and also that it demonstrates your professional writing skills and critical writing skills. If the portion of your thesis does meet that, then you can certainly use it as a writing sample.
All right, so thank you for attending today's virtual webinar. If your questions were not answered today, please reach out to SOE Admissions. We look forward to seeing your application. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.